All right, in the next 20 minutes, we're going to attempt to do our best job of deciphering. Deciphering? Is that the right word? Deciphering some micro-content data. And anyways, I'm excited. You ready?
I'm excited too. You're leading this.
I'm leading this today.
And I'm making the questions. I'm interviewing you.
There's no questions. Everything is laid out here beautifully for us to follow in our amazing content cheat sheet. By the way, if you want to know about that, just send us a quick DM and we'll send you how we run the podcast 3 times a week. All right, here we go. Hey, I'm Luis.
And this is Luis.
Welcome to the Content is Profit podcast.
In here, you're going to get the insights, accountability, and drive to create consistently and increase revenue.
You'll hear from top entrepreneurs, creators, and anything and everything you need to know about content. All this while having a good time.
The goal of this podcast is simple: to entertain, educate, and turn your content into profit.
That's right, guys. Welcome to Content is Profit.
I'm just going to say there's been a few episodes now where I say entertain properly.
Good job, Fonzie. That's right. Pat on the back for Fonzie. Good job. Studio clap. Anyways, if you're listening to this episode, it's probably Wednesday if you're tuning in for the day of the release. So quick announcement, we're going to change the podcast days to Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We've noticed that in the weekends, you guys like your free time and you guys don't listen to the show. So now you got us 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Let's go.
That's right. You gotta adapt. You gotta evolve.
That's right.
That's what makes us humans special.
That's right. And that's
evolution.
What this episode is all about. We're going to attempt to give our best report possible for the last 7 days. But before that, go ahead and follow the show in your favorite podcasting platform. Go ahead and follow, download those episodes because it does help us. It helps you. And it helps everybody that listen to the show as well because it's going to show in their feeds.
That is right. And if today's episode helped you move one step closer towards your goal, please don't forget to share this episode and leave a 5-star review.
Ooh, baby. Do you like that title? Do you want to read it?
I don't know. Where's that?
What do you mean, where's that?
Right here?
The big bold letters at the top. Scroll back up. There you are.
Oh, look at that.
Oh.
The truth behind micro content no one is telling you about. I'm just saying we're not using Google Docs anymore, so that's why I'm confused.
We're not using Google Docs. We have evolved. In our process. How do you like that?
That was pretty good.
I know. I think...
I'm curious. What is the truth?
Ooh, what is the truth? We'll tell you. Wow. Everybody's like, yeah, post, put it, be everywhere, right? Including us. Relative omnipresence, a little asterisk on the top of that phrase. But I don't think there's enough digging into a lot of stuff. And that's why in the last 7 days, we've been running a little bit of an experiment with our micro content, which, by the way, is...
Well, you've been running. I've been observing. I've been managing, because I'm the boss. So I'm managing the whole thing.
But it's like, hey, so... I don't want to do this.
No, just like, what are you doing? What is this?
Okay, so...
All of a sudden, there were spreadsheets and all the content going out and numbers. I was like, what is going on over here? I'm so confused.
Yeah, so a little backstory on this. You know, we have somebody in the team that was specifically... helping us distribute a lot of micro content specifically in the past, and they got a radio deal, which was super awesome. And now that person has come back and work in the company, but in a different area of the company. So for the longest time, we just really focus on the audio release, the clean up version of these episodes. But there's a lot of micro content and other different parts of the platform on the back end that we didn't really take too much care about.
Actually, there's a lot of content that has been post-produced,
so much.
It's just sitting there without seeing the light of day. So
I know.
You took the initiative. Props to you. Good job.
So the spreadsheet that Fonzie talks about is this project that I called the Project Catch Up.
Operation
Catch Up with a little fire emoji at the beginning so we don't forget. So what we did is we broke down, if you want to do in the next 45 days, catch up on all the content. This includes posting clean cut versions of these episodes into YouTube, a platform that we scratch the surface, right? Because we have been focusing on the audio version a lot, and then using the micro content to post on Shorts and Instagram Reels and Facebook Reels and TikTok and all this fun stuff to see some data, right? So there's a ton of content that was produced with the formats of the old platform. So not really vertical format, right? We do have some headlines, some different things. The design's amazing. Mwah. magnificent.
Chef's kiss.
Magnificent, but it doesn't really adapt to the platform. But here's the thing, right? We're not going to leave that content in the Google Drive anymore. We're going to put it out there, see what happens.
Has to see the light of day.
The light of day, that's right. And collect all the data. Also, we mentioned the podcast.
I'm just going to say, this is so old that today, last night I was scrolling
some of the micro content.
And some of the micro content was talking about Clubhouse and Green Room.
That was a great episode, by the way.
It was a great episode. It was a lot of fun. It was pretty good. Yeah. But I saw that and I was like, damn, this one is old. I'm like, does Green Room even exist anymore? You know?
I know. We had to go check. But I'm like, you know what? Who cares? And by the way, he's been one of the top micro content watched today. Anyway, so I think we're going to look up. But if you Google the name Clubhouse versus Green Room, which is the Spotify version of Clubhouse, it's awesome. That was a good episode. Anyways,
I'm looking right now if that thing still exists.
So what I really want to do today is kind of we've executed this for about 7 days. 2 of the days we didn't really distribute much just because it was the weekend. So, but we got pretty interesting data. Pretty positive data, which transforms on how can you leverage this to promote your show, your things, and what are the systems that you got to put in place, or where's the data really that you need to be looking for, right? Because a lot of people is like, yeah, I don't get so many followers. Oh, I don't get so many subscribers, right? And if you're one of those, it's okay. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to to learn from those mistakes and continue to move forward.
You're like, just slap them on the face, like, poof, you're wrong.
I love you. Hey, I was there for the longest time. Vanity metrics, you know how we stand with vanity metrics. And for those that are continuing with the episode after I just said that, thank you. Because we're diving into really what makes a difference and the decisions that we're making based off of that, right? Any comments, Fonzie?
No, I'm just listening.
You just listened today. Today's a masterclass from me. Anyways, I want to really start with the artifact. What's the artifact, Fonzie? This is your concept.
I'm just listening. 2 seconds later, what is the artifact, Fonzie? So ART is an acronym that we came about when we were talking about, the value of posting consistently online. And ART stands for authority, relevancy, and trust. And to put it simply is, if you post content consistently, if you show up in the people they want to help in their feeds in front of them consistently, you're going to develop that authority, relevancy, and trust, right? They're going to see you like an authority within the industry because you're going to be preaching that consistent message. You're going to be relevant, right? Because when one of the problems that they have pop into their head, the first person that they might think about is you because you just keep showing up in front of them. So you're going to be relevant, right? And you're going to build trust because, nothing builds more trust than being consistent, being in front of them, and delivering value to other people. So
why is that light sideways?
What is it, like sideways? Oh, dude, because I don't know. I felt like I had it like pointing at my back and I felt the heat. I was like, oh man, this thing is kind of warm.
For those listening, the light that's always pointing down is pointing a different direction. That my OCD is clicking right now.
Clearly.
Anyways, we have tangent alert. We have a fun story with the artifact, right? We were at this event called Fun Hacking Live, which will be in a couple of months as well. And they have like this prize that they give to people that sell more than $1 million, right? And at the time we did not sell, not even close to $1 million when this was happening. And I remember walking out of the room and during the ceremony, and there's this group of people just meeting. And one of the girls there, one of the women, she's like, "Oh my God, Luis, congrats!" And we're like, "What? Why?" Like, well, thank you, but why? Like, you guys are receiving the award, right? And we're like, oh no, I wish. Hopefully soon, right? And then we all, laughed about it. I cried a little bit about it, but it's okay. Then in the bathroom, I'm thinking, what did she assume that we were getting that award, right? Because we never really talk about sales numbers, not in public, at least in the show. We've mentioned some of those numbers, but not at the time, 0. And when I am coming back, one of the comments that stuck to me after that conversation was like, I see you guys everywhere. Right? And it's part of that relative omnipresence. And at the time, we were really publishing all this content very frequently, very consistently, right? Before our amazing partner here, Giorgio, calling you up, went to work for the radio show that he got. So
you salty?
No, he's back. He's back. I told him, I told you so. You will be back. But that really put things into perspective, and it was really interesting to understand kind of what's the perception of the people outside of your platform, right? And that gave us kind of more gas to be like, okay, let's continue to build this brand, to build this podcast, to build these things, regardless of, what the numbers look like. So after that, we really had a few months that only the audio was publishing. We did some experimentation with some campaigns. We invested about $6,000 on paid media with Mopod. Shout out to Mopod if you are in podcast movement, which, by the way, by the time that this audio comes out, we're going to be in Dallas. Come check us out and send us a DM and we'll...
We might be actually just be on the plane.
We'll be flying into Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be cool. But anyway, so... with that was cool. We got a ton of awesome downloads and we saw a little bit of an increase, but again, cold traffic, right? They're not familiar with your message and different things. So one of the things that we decided to try on this Operation Catch Up was let's distribute all this content that might not even be formatted for the platform itself, is not optimized.
Or timely.
In some of them. No, but the interviews are. The interviews are.
The interviews are. It's literally just that one episode about Clubhouse and Green Room. Because that's, and we talked about that before. We've talked about, the evergreen content and the topical content.
Yeah.
And that was definitely one that we were just leveraging the trend of the moment, which was Clubhouse.
Yeah.
But now, a year later, it's so irrelevant.
That's not a year later. I think it's like 8 months later, but it's okay. Anyway, so we decided, okay, no matter what, we're going to put this out there because, as you know, we also use the podcast as a platform to build relationships. So it just gives us another amazing excuse to go back and talk to the people that we brought to the show, which, by the way, has been happening. And we just got good feedback, right? So after 7 days of this, we decided to look back at some of the data and be like, how does this translate into the podcast downloads, which is objective number one for this, right? And then how does it translate for developing those relationships on the sales side, right? So today specifically, I don't think I'll have the time to go through all the data, but we're going to probably focus on shorts, a little bit YouTube shorts more than anything else, because it has been the platform that had gotten the most traction out of the content that we are distributing there. So, in general, right?
Are we putting stuff on TikTok?
We are.
We are? Oh, okay.
Yeah. We are. So I know, it's interesting. I posted morning times, nighttime seems to have a little bit more traction, but anyways, beside the fact, we're going to dive into some of the numbers. So you have a little bit of a ground rule of like, what do I look for? Like, what do I measure? If you do distribute this and go about your day and start making decisions based off of that, right? Because we're fans of building your own how, right, Fonzie?
100%.
Are you learning? Good.
Yeah, no, I was drinking water right when you asked me that question. It's all to choke.
Yeah. All right. So for a full perspective on how we distribute content, right? So we produce content as batches. One episode is going to give us a ton of content. What we specifically have is 3 videos and less than a minute, and then 2 videos that are longer than a minute per episode. And per day, we're distributing 4 of the big episodes, 4 clean cuts that we call them, right? And then we're distributing 2 batches. So 6 smaller videos than less than a minute and 4 videos between, 1 minute and 5 minutes.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of content every single day. For this week, we reduced that output in half just because on the production side, there's still some stuff that we got to do. We're updating a blog, contentsprofit.com. Go check it out. Let us know what you think. But we've reduced that in half to make it a little bit more bearable because we were doing this over the weekend with the team and, catching up. And Fonzie was catching up with the blog today. And I was catching up with distribution today. So
catching up with life.
Catching up with life, yeah, happens. Okay, so straight to the data, right? So in general, the last 7 days has been more than double consistent podcast downloads. This is like in general, the whole show, which is great. We talked about in the previous, not the previous episodes, but I think it was like 2 or 3 ago about the 7-day data and then the 30-day data, right? How do we read the 7-day data of downloads? How do we read the 30-day? Obviously, 7-day report is the one that's being affected by all this micro content being distributed, right? So last week has been the fastest in our 7-day report, which means people are keeping an eye out for the new episodes. So they're coming in, they're downloading the things. Also part of the decision of why we're making it instead of Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, rescheduling for Monday, Wednesday, and Friday and see what happens.
Yeah. And I think that's also why we've been doing more solo episodes. Because they're shorter. I feel the fact that they're shorter, they're less intimidating for people to get into. Although, if you're listening right now and you haven't go back and listen to some of these interviews, You totally should, because they are mind-blowing. And
They're all good.
Yeah, some of them will even make you cry.
Yeah. So if you want to kind of decide which one do you do, just keep an eye on the micro content, because new micro content is coming out every single day with new guests and different things.
Or send us a message, and depending on your situation and what you need to hear, we'll recommend an episode.
That's right. There has been also an increase on back-end episodes. So back-end episodes means there's going to be content that's been published a year, 2 years ago.
The long tail.
The long tail of your podcast, and people go back and listen to those based on maybe a Google search of the name, right? So with the blog, we've been putting all the transcripts in there. That helps with SEO. So we've seen an increase.
I mean,
some of that.
That is kind of when you meet like somebody, you know, and you're like, "Ooh, look at them. Let me creep on their Instagram." And you go and you start scrolling all the way down and accidentally like one of their pictures. You know, it's kind of like with podcasts. You're like, "Oh, who are these guys? Let me listen to one of their older episodes." You know, and then say, "Bam!"
And that happens. Yeah. So there has been an increase on that. That's great reference, Fonz. But Luis, how much has the 7-day downloads increased? Well, 1.7 more than the week before, which was great, right? It's almost double the amount of downloads within a week in the same 7 days, right? So we started diving into, okay, the micro content, is this really affecting it, right? So specifically today, we're going to dive into YouTube Shorts in the last 10 minutes that we have here. So in general, the channel got about 8,200 views in the last 7 days, which compared to before, there's zero.
Yeah,
there was zero.
Yeah, we weren't publishing anything. I mean, we got very minimal subscribers on YouTube too.
Yeah, YouTube was never really a platform that we put our attention, except the last 7 days,
and just
distributing.
Because Shorts gives you that ability to reach a broad audience, right? I mean, yeah, I feel what the clean cuts, of course, they're great. It's the whole conversation, but I think it would be so much difficult to grab traction just from that on like regular YouTube. But with Shorts, you got the opportunity to get people's attention with obviously a 60-second clip. And if they get people's attention, YouTube is showing those to a lot of people.
Keep in mind, right, like different people consume different content in different ways, right? So obviously a YouTube consumer is not going to be a podcast listener, right? It could be a podcast listener, but this is what we're trying to find is... Whoa, sorry. What just happened? From
YouTube. The micro
almost. So what we're trying to find out is like from YouTube Shorts, who sees our content, who like resonates with that. There might be some subscribers, which we had an increase in subscribers, right? But at the same time, what translates into podcast listeners, right? Because one of the things that we talked about and we really want to explore is like treating each platform individually, but with the same type of like root content, right? But again, YouTube has to be optimized for views. You have to like create a little bit more better hook. There's a lot of competition in there. Visually has to be produced. Different things, right? But anyways, so 8,000 views compared to nothing. Watch time is about 46 hours. Keep in mind, these are videos on less than a minute, right?
That's a lot.
That's awesome. That's a good metric. So everything is then it's like 999% more than previous 7 days, of course. And we get 10 subscribers, right? So it was about 1 subscriber per video ish, or half a subscriber per video. So it's super cool because this will give you some data. Be like, okay, if I publish more, then we can get more, right? So those are some of the things. The next things that we're gonna look at is the CTR, right? Click through rate. This is what a lot of YouTubers talk about when they publish their thumbnails, the cover of the podcast, the cover of the show, the cover of their videos, right? It's like how many people go through an impression, and then from those that see that, like how many people actually click. So industry standard, or like what's acceptable, is about 5%. So obviously we're going to have some videos that are above 5% and some videos that are less than 5%. So we're treating this a little bit differently than if we see a regular YouTube channel. Keep in mind, on the podcast side, on the audio side, we look at the 7-day, 30-day. Now on this, what we're going to look for is what are the clips that are doing more than 5% click-through rate. So what this means is either your thumbnail or your title, right? Or your headline of the video, if you don't have a thumbnail, are very attractive and people actually go out and look and actually see that video.
Yeah, and what we found out is, talking about attractive, is that in most thumbnails that we have more than 5%, I was in the thumbnail.
Definitely not. Definitely not. So we'll dive in here a little bit because, right, there's two types of videos that we're looking at here. We're looking at the less than 60-second videos, right, which there's no thumbnails on those. The way that we produce them, there's a headline, right? And then we're looking at other videos that are a little bit longer and do have a thumbnail on it, right? So what we want to look for in the click-through rate is above 5% and then digging a little bit more of what happens. So here's interesting data, right? This is just on the video side. This is not the clips. This is the longer than a minute. There's a video that's called "So About Pivoting," ... right? The click-through rate on that video is about 16.7%. Do you know who that interview was with, Fonzie?
Pivoting. I'm guessing Alan Cheng.
Alan Cheng, yeah.
He's the founder of Shortlist, I think it's called.
Yeah, and he has a substantial presence, right, on every social media and like the topic that we talked about. So we're like, okay, why does this have such a big pivot or such a big click-through rate? And it could be the headline, it could be the personality, right? So this is an example of like what you should be digging in. The other one that really caught my attention was how to get excited about what you do. That's a 6%. Do you have a unique mechanism, right? And that's Todd Brown. And Todd Brown is a big marketer. He talks about this concept a lot. So we literally leverage that.
Mr. Todd.
Mr. Todd, yeah. And the fun part is when you see an average view duration for those two videos are more than 4 minutes compared to the other videos that are less than a minute. So people tune in, they watch the other one, but with these specific ones, they stayed and they watched a lot of the video, which tells us that was a good clip that we grabbed and it provided a ton of value. So that's how you can use some of that feedback to then improve your own content. Be like, maybe that's something that maybe that's another topic that we should talk about and dive deep a little bit more.
Yep.
Any questions, Fonzie, so far?
I mean, you can even probably grab those clips and reuse them in a sense, or grab that interview, get more clips from that same interview, put them out there, right? Again, test whether it is the hook or maybe the personality. That's right. Because there's a lot of marketers that know Todd Brown. So when they see him, they're like, ooh, what does he has to say? And then boom, you show up in the same video alongside him. And guess what? Now you're borrowing his authority. And people are asking themselves, who are these two brothers that are with Todd Brown? They must be pretty cool. And then they click on your stuff and they go and listen to your podcast and then they're fans for life.
That's right. There's another tab when you see the videos, right, that you're like, okay, what's the traffic source? Where are people coming from? And this is super important, right? Because there's different tricks that you can do on YouTube, inside of YouTube or inside of your platform, or I don't want to call them tricks, but things that you can add to your framework, right? So, for example, if you sort traffic source by it gives you different categories. So in this case, for example, it gives you channel pages, YouTube search, browse features, suggested videos, different things, right? So for us, I filter it here through click-through rate, right? I want to see like who clicks more what's good traffic, right? I want traffic that's actually watching the videos. So the top is channel pages. So our own page is referring people to the other videos in our page. And there's a stay on YouTube when you publish that you can actually set that up. So keep that in mind, right? So when we actually clicked in there, BIZBROS clips was the most with 34.7% and 6.8 click-through rate. So a lot of people are coming from our own channel. It's people that are watching that same video and they're continuing to watch into that. Any other ideas in there, Fonz?
No. That's pretty solid.
So yeah, there's obviously, as you dig in, there's different things that you can see, like what other channels are referring you. So maybe a partnership, maybe a collaboration, right? If you see something that really sticks up, those are things that you can do. If you sort it by views, the shorts feed is obviously what's feeding the most. It's feeding about 85% of the views.
We've noticed the same with Instagram Reels. If you look at the data on Instagram, and what we look with our clients is that the Reels are just bringing majority of the traffic. So honestly, is crazy. It's like 95% of the traffic is brought in by Reels. So, 80-20 right there. Are you going to put your effort on posting the other stuff or just focus on Reels that are literally bringing pretty much everything?
Close second is browse features. So these are just people browsing, is about 10%. And then you have YouTube search, which is 3.6%, right? So if you see that YouTube search increase, that might be better SEO, better titles, better different things that what people are looking for, right? How we tackle the podcast is obviously we talk about topics and then from there we extract the ideas, right? A lot of people, what they do is they publish the content with the topic in mind for people to search and then they produce that content, right? So depending on your, how do you want to create, then you can use these to your advantage, right? Some other interesting data as we start wrapping up is in the last 7 days with all the views, we have shorts, we have about 8,100, right? And then you have the main videos, which are just 41 views, right? And I just say just 41 views is like decent, right? Imagine a room full of 40 people that watch you talk for about, 5 to 10 minutes, right? But out of those impressions, let me see if I can zoom this out. I can't zoom this out.
Zoom this in.
There you are. So out of almost 70,000 impressions, right? 36.8 are coming from YouTube recommending your content, right? So this is why this is so important. And then from there, you have views from those impressions, almost 1,000. And then watch time from those impressions, about 5 hours, right? So these are, I think, just on the video side. And then how people are finding us is through the shorts feed, browse features, YouTube search, and what we did. So obviously this is just on YouTube. This just gives us an idea, right?
That's crazy though. Almost 70,000 impressions. Like imagine your content getting in front of 70,000 people.
70,000 eyes, right? It's
That's
crazy.
quite a lot.
Yeah.
Well, it would be double the eyes because people have 2 eyes, So
am I the dad or are you the dad with the jokes?
I need to sleep.
Yeah, Fonzie needs to sleep. But anyways, I think this is so interesting, right? Because out of these numbers, obviously, we're not driven by these numbers. It just tells us a tale, right? And again, this is content that has not been optimized for the platform. This is old content that we're bringing back on and see what happens. And I think when you tackle these situations with I want to see what happens mindset, a lot of good things are coming out of it, right? Because now we have this baseline and now we can start implementing. For example, last week, FONZI recorded a session with some of our team members, with Giorgio, and I recorded another session for top of funnel awareness content. This is more directly to the things that we do and the service that we offer. So we can actually...
Sorry, I randomly mismeasured this and I hit my nose in the mic. And
Fonzie really need to sleep.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing at my awkwardness right now.
Go watch the video. But it's super awesome because right from that's going to be edited, optimized for the platforms, and we're going to put it and we're going to see what happens. Like, is it better than the baseline that we're creating, right? And this is what you should do. This is what you should be trying, right? I don't want to use should. This is what you can do, right?
Good control word.
Yeah, good control word. This is what you can do. You can create your own frameworks, put it at our experiment, right? The reason we're able to do this at such a high volume, again, these are a ton of videos that we're putting out there. It's because we build a system on the back end that can deliver that. But even if you cannot get to that volume, even if you post 1 a day, 2 a day, 3 a day, first of all, it's not enough. Right? You can always go up. You can only do better, right? But if you cannot because of capacity, make sure that you are consistent with that to make sure that you can see some good data, right? Okay, so people are like, okay, how do you connect all this, right? All this that we just talked about is great on YouTube, great, but really one of the objectives is we want to increase the listenership of the show. So there's something called smart promos or smart links, right? For us, we use Chartable, which is a software that we use for the podcast. Other people can use Bitly, like these links that you can track different things. So what we did is we created a smart link per platform. So we have a smart link for Contents Profit on Instagram, one smart link for the Shorts channel, one link for the blog, one link for the Clean Cut channel. So there's 2 YouTube channels, right? The main episodes and the shorts. And in every single video, that link is in the description, is somewhere where people can click it, right? So it's been fun because over the last week, Instagram, funny, has been the least of the clicks of the people clicking on it, right? Obviously, because the way that you consume content on Instagram, you don't have the link available. You have to go to your profile different. It's a little bit more friction, but is the platform that has converted the most listeners. It's crazy. Less people have clicked the link, but more people have converted to listen to the show. So higher quality in there. Maybe they resonate with the message a little bit more. Then you have YouTube Shorts. Obviously, that's the top performer in all the clicks, but they haven't transformed the consumer. Keep in mind what we just talked about, right? We talked about people consume content very differently on YouTube than podcasts. So if you're publishing that podcast, make sure that you have a YouTube edited version in case you want to capture that audience, right? And then from the blog, it has been pretty decent. It's kind of, the people that come through the blog, they consume and then they have transformed. So it's about half the people that have come from Instagram. And then you have the YouTube Contents Profit channel, which is the main, like just the full episodes, right? Those have not converted either. So here's the thing is there's a decent amount of clicks in there, but people are probably consuming the full episode on YouTube and not going to the audio version, right? But here's the cool thing. The whole thing, we talk about content ecosystem, right? The whole thing is your content and your platform ecosystem. So it's all branded the same, it's all the same energy, it's all the same things. And it's just so fun, right? Because now you're grabbing this amazing audience that you have the audio version, the people that consume it on YouTube, the people that consume it in shorts, consume it in shorts. And then you can build that platform the way you want it.
Good job. Good job.
Hey, that was good.
That was pretty good.
All right. Let me see. Okay. Here's another one. This is a test that I ran today before the episode on Instagram. We were not tagging the people. I decided to start doing that. The last one I tagged was Rich Schafrin. When I click in and dug in on like where the people came from, moving into that episode, there was a micro content pieces from Rich. So if make sure that you tag your guests, right? Because your guests are going to see it and then they're going to transfer it into your own downloads. Super interesting. So fun. Fonzie, any last thoughts?
No, this was pretty instructive.
I know this was good. It's probably one of the better episodes that I personally have put together. Good.
Yeah. Are you saying I didn't do anything?
Not on this one. You did tell me that you did say the idea. You were like, yeah, you should do this. It's because, I have it fresh, but this is super cool. And I thought
it would be valuable for people to understand how you read the data.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty good.
So again, if you're not doing this, please make sure that you're putting attention to like your data apart from the total like top of funnel views, like where are people coming from? How do you implement this? Over the next probably 45 to 60 days, we're going to continue to do this, right? It's probably going to take a little bit longer than we thought it was going to take. Yep. But I'm very excited to see where this goes. I'm very excited to see where we go from 0 subscribers to who knows how many. I think we're about 100 subscribers on the Shorts channel, which is crazy, coming from 0 in like 7 days. So we'll see. Mr. Beast will come for you. But also I'm very excited to see how this translates into the podcast downloads and see really how many people we can help.
The retention too.
The retention. So obviously a lot of things. I hope I made this very entertaining. If this was useful and you want to continue to dive this, maybe we do one of these every 2 weeks and see what happens. I'm happy to do that progress report. But Fonzie, good?
Pretty good.
Yeah. Produce content, get it out there consistently. If you need help with that, let us know. We have different resources from I have no money but a lot of time to I don't have any time and I have a lot of money. So that was good. No? Fuzz is like, what?
No, I'm like, you should keep going.
You should keep going. But yeah, you can reach out to us on social at BIZBROS on whatever platform you're in, LinkedIn, Instagram, even Facebook, or you can go to bizbros.co and all the information is there. But with that said, guys, thank you so much for tuning into the Content's Profit podcast. Go ahead and follow the show in your favorite platform and on social media at BIZBROS.
That is Ran. If today's episode helped you move one step closer towards your goal, please don't forget to share this episode and leave a 5-star review. See ya.
Bye, guys.